Hi, everyone. Rick here. Welcome to Cardano Live. Today we have Aatash, who's the CEO of CardStarter, and Ash, who's the Senior Operations Advisor with us today. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on Cardano Live. I very much appreciate it. How you doing today?
Doing well. Thanks for having us.
All right. Okay. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves, Aatash, if you would like to go first, please, and then we'll talk about CardStarter a little later. So Aatash, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, by trade, I guess everyone in our community has found this out now. I'm actually an actor for film and television, and do a lot of voiceover. That being said, I've been in crypto since about 2011, having developed my first project in about 2013. I think it was a merged mining protocol, but pretty discreet now and obscure, since those days are far from over. Essentially, I've spent most of my time working anonymously. There are a few projects that I did go transparent for. But I guess that explains most of my history. A lot of my positioning was as advisory kind of roles. Yeah, and that brings us to CardStarter. So we're really excited about bringing this and being able to be public on that front, and kind of, take the, I guess, the marketing and expansion to a more legitimized level.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're interested in Cardano and you have a lot of experience in crypto there, having been around since 2011. And Ash, what about you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Ashwin Somasundaram. I have a bit of a non-traditional background, as Rick well knows. I'm an assistant professor of medicine. I'm a physician scientist, so I actually am an oncologist over at the University of Pittsburgh. But I have a research background focused on systems biology, and I actually got interested in blockchain technology to actually do healthcare integration right around 2017. And since then, I've been working with various projects, and I've been working with Aatash for quite some time now, and really excited as far as a lot of the stuff that we've tried to help build in the space. So being able to come on as an advisory role has been pretty exciting, especially seeing what Cards is doing.
All right. Thank you, Ash. And glad to have you here. And it's funny, the things that we have in common. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, from Castle Shannon in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, kind of like the butt crack of Pittsburgh. I'd call it Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pittsburgh, interesting place there, interesting place. And glad to see you in medicine as well. Well, thank you, Aatash and Ash as well, for coming on today. So tell us a little bit about CardStarter. Let's get our feet wet.
Okay, I guess just the kind of like high level overview of what CardStarter is I guess we are the first insured Cardano Launchpad, accelerator, and kind of incubator, I guess is what I would probably define us as. So what does that mean? Essentially, we provide a platform where projects or developers who want to build projects can come through, introduce their idea to us. This is for the incubator accelerator bit. They'll introduce their idea to us and kind of discuss how far along they are in development, what that timeline looks like, how much they may have raised already, or what they're looking to raise, right? So this is supposed to be a resource for people who want to develop and need the kind of support from the community. And then we'll take a look at that. We have a very large team of, I guess they're experts really, with a lot of experience in crypto that will sit down and meet with these teams and really see what it is that they want to put out there. And if it meets our criteria, then they'll go through what's our accelerator program, Cards Accelerator Program, also known as CAP. And then these CAP projects get pushed through our series of, I guess, I don't know what to call it, developments and developmental upgrades, I guess. So we put them through that, and then we bring them to our community, where then we can kind of bootstrap them with the community that they need, the funding that they need, while also getting our users a stake in that project. So it's really very synergistic, that relationship. So so that's the CAP program. Then we of course have the IDO program, which is just a typical initial DEX offering. That's what that stands for. DEX being decentralized exchange, and that's for projects who may be developed already. They're interested in just kind of getting the community going, and getting some funding going. So what they'll do is they'll approach us and pitch their idea and show us what they're working with. you know, we'll take a look, and if they're accepted, then we'll put them on. You know, we'll introduce them to our community. They'll come through, and it's just a typical raise to get them started, to get some liquidity, to be able to pay, you know, the developers or whatever it is, and get them to market. You know, there's one more point actually, before I finish that. The one thing that kind of really sets us apart here is that we provide insurance to our users. So anybody who wants to take part in these projects, they're like, you know, hey, I like that project. Charlie, for example, is our IDO coming up here. Accelerator project actually too. People might say, hey, I like Charlie a lot. You know, this looks great. I want to get in. So they would obviously go and buy some cards, which is the utility token that we have. That enables you to take part in this like subscription tier, which then determines how much Charlie you're allowed to buy. So if they say, yeah, I want to go get some Charlie, they get some Charlie. Charlie goes to market. It's doing well. Cardano comes around, let's say, and there's just no Oracle for whatever reason, right? This isn't going to happen. But if that happened, we have an insurance pool that would pay everybody back that purchased Charlie, right? And obviously that expires at a certain point because we can't just put, like, you know, we can't afford to put insurance on everything forever. But we do have that. And that's something kind of revolutionary here, because we've never seen anybody kind of provide insurance on a token purchase or involvement with it, getting into a new project. So I think that's where we really pride ourselves too.
Okay, thanks for that description. I was sorry, I was distracted. I was adjusting your audio a little bit. I got some feedback. So folks, let me know in the chat if the audio is good to go. Also, a reminder to viewers, there are links down below to descriptions for what Aatash just described to the cardstarter.io website, CardStarter Twitter, the Telegram channel. Check out their social media channels, and there's also their Medium articles are posted in the links down below. Be sure to like and subscribe on this video to increase the metrics and get broader viewership for the videos as well, so people have a lot better understanding about what CardStarter is. And just to clarify for the viewers, that there's a few times I'll pause and just speak to the viewers about stuff, is there is also, there is CardStack on Ethereum with a token called Card, no S on the end. This is CardStarter. There's an S on the end of the tokens. Some of you know, you got Chris C over there, CardStack, two separate projects. CardStack is a Web 3.0 project. CardStarter is a DEX IDO incubator project. So it's two totally separate projects, similar namespace. We're just commenting Cardano, just like with the stake pools, right? So yeah, thanks for that awesome description to kind of get our feet wet here. Now, let's talk about users and then features. So there's two different types of users that I understand so far with CardStarter. There are the people looking for funding who you vet, right? And then there are the people who like to buy, sell, and trade tokens, and that is the Cards token. Okay, so with the users, that's pretty well defined. I think you already covered that. You have people who are looking for funding, and this is the first insured project of DEX that is launching on Cardano, but already launched on Ethereum with the Uniswap program, the Uniswap DEX, right? All right. So as far as, let's say I am a developer. Or maybe you already have developers. So I'm a developer. I want to build on Cardano. I need funding to build my team, pay my team, finance our infrastructure. And I can come to you, or you already have them, right? And how does that work? I can come to you and say, hey, I'm building this team. I got to fund them. And then you're going to vet me. Is that right?
Yeah. Get in there, Ash.
So this is actually a really great point. And this is because a lot of other launchpads or platforms doing similar things have it a little bit, say, backwards. And the reason I say this is because, let's say you're trying to develop a project. To actually get onto a platform, you need to have already developed 98% of it. You basically need your token ready and ready to launch, which doesn't make sense. Why would you need to raise money if you've already completed the project? Really, what should happen is your team needs to be vetted. You need to have good architecture. You need to be set up with a good incubator pipeline, specifically advisors for marketing, influencers, good developers, specifically within the Cardano space. And as a point to that, when we're talking about where we're bringing the devs in, there are collaborations we have with certain labs that work within the Cardano space that we have.
Seems to have cut out there.
Yeah, the audio video cut out for a sec.
Well, if he doesn't return, I'll finish his thought because I know exactly where he's going with this.
Okay, yeah, I'll just bring it out for a sec. Go ahead, Aatash. Thank you.
So he was saying we have collaboration with certain labs. I guess I know where he's going with that one. Ash, you want to?
Sorry about that, you guys. Yeah, I mean, I think
No worries.
basically what I was alluding to is there's also the Plutus Pioneers program within Cardano. There's a lot of programs within Cardano that we actually work with and reach out to with regards to finding developers and finding talent in the space. So obviously, if they have a good idea, especially those that are vetted in the decentralized finance space that already exists in Ethereum, it only makes sense that then we would help them with the raise. But we would only do that for projects that are vetted and trusted. And the reason is because we insure them. So if we ever make a mistake, that comes to us as a Launchpad because we're the ones that pay that out as insurance. So just like with any insurance protocol, you're only as good as your weakest project. So we really pride ourselves on making sure that we can do that. And the reason we can do that on the other side for the users is because normal Launchpads take a fee of about 10%, and they use that as their revenue. But we really are here first and foremost, beyond being a Launchpad or a DEX, we're advocates for Cardano. That's really why we're here. And we want people to build on Cardano. We believe that Cardano is a superior, if not the superior blockchain. And because of that, we want more people to build, feel comfortable building, and feel safe building. And that's really why we do this. Mm-hmm. But that in a nutshell is what we bring to developers. So they're able to raise to actually get the architecture underway. And if heaven forbid something happens, we are there to act as a safety net for the community.
Okay. And so I see on your website, what I do is I follow along on the website as well. Kind of helps bring everything together. So for the viewers out there, check out their website. If I'm developing a project, like it appears I can go on the cardstarter.io and you have a section there at the bottom. You hit apply, and then I can put in my name, email address, project name, and a message. And then what happens next? You guys would get back to me as I'm a developer and entrepreneur. You would come back to me and say,
yeah. So essentially, we would just kind of take a look at the email. You'd be surprised how many people don't really include all the details that we need. But we do have our full form coming out. That's why. But we'll take a look and kind of ask them a couple of questions, right? Like some of the important ones are, how far along in development are you? That's going to differentiate between like whether this is an IDO or they actually want acceleration. And you know, if they are kind of still in the middle of like heavy development, but they don't have a full team, you know, we have access to a lot of resources as well and can find people that are interested in working on new projects that we have coming up, people we've worked with in the past, and can kind of make those connections, which is great. But yeah, I guess what I'm getting at here is we then review their application, get them on a call, have a discussion, see where they stand.
And to be clear, it's not just us. We have a very large existing advisory panel. We make sure that this gets vetted through multiple third parties. Otherwise, we wouldn't be comfortable if it was just internal. We want to make sure that a lot of folks in the space, even folks that aren't even fans of Cardano, feel that this is a worthwhile and viable project to bring to market. So we try to be very careful with this. But yeah, that's a great point as far as how the process goes.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier insured, right? The first insured project. So if I am an entrepreneur or developer and I've got funding and I default, what happens? Like, you're protecting the token holders out there in the world. Is that correct?
We are protecting anybody who purchases those tokens for that project through our platform. So that's kind of what we defend against. And only, you know, it's an insurance policy. There are many caveats in there, and we want to make sure that it's not really going to be gamified or abused, which is quite common in insurance. You know, it always has been. So we do have to be careful about that too. At the end of the day, you know, this is user funds going back into the system for the user, right? So we want to make sure that everybody's safe. What that defends against is things like exploitation. We'll protect that because we take the code of these projects and we put them through our partner, Scriptic Tech, who does all of these internal security audits for people around the industry. So we have that, so we can kind of protect against that because that has to go through us, right? The second part of it is vetting the people that are actually on the team. We protect against team negligence. So if these guys actually, you know, make some sort of a silly mistake or something where they decide to, like, you know, just disappear in thin air, that's on us. We shouldn't have let them through. right? So we want to make sure that we can protect against that as well. Other things, Cardano, God forbid, not going live, which I don't think any of us believe will actually happen. They're going to be up. But if that happened, we want to make sure that our guys are protected on that as well. So vaporware is something we protect against.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting because it is insurance is a very difficult thing to do because when you put money towards anything, people are going to try to scam it. But so I guess you have like a cash or a stash, you put aside a little bit of a buffer. So if something goes wrong, there's some compensation for users.
Yeah, it's a new idea. So all the other platforms, they take a fee, right? And sometimes it'll be with the tokens of the project that's launching, or it might actually just be out of the percentage of whatever they raise. They will take that as some sort of a fee, right? But let me tell you that it always gets pocketed. We're not interested in that. Our interest is the chance and opportunity to be able to accelerate these projects and then earn a stake in them for the long term, right? It's in our best interest to make sure that these projects do well and that they flourish and that everything kind of comes to light that they want. So instead of taking a fee right off the bat of whatever you raise, it just goes into our pockets. We're like, well, what else can we do? Let's reappropriate this. Let's have it so that fee protects our users. Let's make this a better system than what already exists. So that's kind of how the idea came to light. We're like, okay, well, let's provide insurance. Nobody does that. There's all these scams out here. We want to legitimize the space.
Exactly.
That's the kind of building that people in Cardano like. People like to hear that. No, we're not just here to tell you what you like to hear. All right, so that is a great perspective on the developer entrepreneur angle. Let's tell me a moment about the user angle. Let's say I like to buy, sell, trade, and hold tokens. And I'm interested in getting the cards tokens. How can I get them now? And how is it going forward? So
you can just, I guess, right now, the way that it's working in DeFi on Ethereum is Uniswap. Uniswap kind of takes it as a decentralized exchange. That's where almost everything happens, where all the action happens right now. The best way to do it would either be going through our website or coming to our Telegram. Or even through CoinGecko, you can find the contract and then doing it through Uniswap. That's kind of what it's really at. We are speaking to a few centralized exchanges right now. That is a possibility. But again, ultimately, we're having what we call the great migration to Cardano. So things will be a little bit different. We have something called CardSwap, which is going to be deployed on Cardano. That's what we're very, very excited about. There will be an article releasing on that, but that's kind of like, we're excited. And so that's going to be our Uniswap of Cardano.
It's the next logical progression in what we're building. It makes sense that a lot of the liquidity for these projects that are coming to us and building on Cardano have to be locked by the time Cardano launches. So it only made sense that we also are a decentralized exchange. And again, a lot of what we wanted to build with CardSwap that's going to be coming up, and we'll have more details in the future, is to make it as equitable as possible. So minimizing fees, making sure transactions run smoothly and are quick and easily accessible. So right now, getting the token is through Uniswap on Ethereum, and in the future, ideally, it will be through CardSwap, and that will also be built through us on Cardano.
Okay, thank you. And I'll get to some user questions in a moment. We've got some really good questions like over there from Kyle Solomon. But okay, all right. So currently, if I were to get the cards tokens, I can find them on Uniswap. I see you have a roadmap on your webpage. Very nice webpage, by the way, and very well designed. And on Q2 2021, the CardStarter token generation event, the cards distribution, which we're now currently in Q2 2021. Then in Q3, there's partnerships, development, marketing, and IDOs coming up. And I guess that's with Plutus. I don't think Plutus will launch on mainnet until about August timeframe, approximately.
Yes, there's still opportunities for us to actually work on testnet, though. We're going to be hosting a hackathon, and hopefully through Plutus Pioneers Program. I don't know how much I can say about that right now. We're live, aren't we? So
yeah, we're live.
Yeah, we're hosting a hackathon, and we have some really amazing partners that are involved on that. And we're trying to be as inclusive as we can and really bring those guys from ADA out here. Come out and play. We've got a place for you to do so. So that's really exciting. This is the thing about what CardStarter is. We want to help with two things. Okay, one of them is people coming from Ethereum and this DeFi system that we have here and these ridiculous gas prices to move over, to migrate to Cardano. And we want to be the bridge to do that, right? So that's why we're on Ethereum right now. That's the explanation for that. It's something we can do now. We can bootstrap our community just in time for ADA mainnet, and we have been. And I think that's exactly how it's going to go. Second piece here, we want everybody. There's a massive Cardano community out there. We all know that. But these guys, they don't do DeFi, right? It's not something that they're really involved in. I know everything that the news is saying on this is like it's a very scammy and dangerous place, which it can be, right? So if you're not already in or haven't accidentally found yourself in DeFi, then you're not really interested in going. It's completely understandable. So what we want to do is provide that space to be like, hey, check this out. This is what's possible, and we're going to make it as safe as possible for you. And we want to be, the first mover and be positioned exactly where we need to be and where we're on trajectory to be to make that happen. So we really, really look to be as inclusive as possible with the current and existing Cardano communities.
Yeah, Aatash, you bring up a really good point, and I would like to speak to the viewers about something that you just brought up. It's fantastic. I'm so glad you brought it up, and that is, I just saw statistics from an Ethereum bot on Twitter that says on Ethereum, which is still the premier smart contract platform, only 1.2% of Ethereum addresses have interacted with DeFi. Okay, only 1.2%. So let's think about that for a minute. Okay, now I know other coins are also launching on Cardano. They've launched on Uniswap with the intentions to build on Cardano. Mm-hmm. I want to warn the viewers and let them know Uniswap is an unbridled marketplace where code is law and nothing else, right? That's the way it was designed, and it is very good at it. So what else is on Uniswap? It's like a giant, super efficient casino, okay? And the regulation is only the code. No one's going to be nice to you over on Uniswap.
Yep.
There's people on Uniswap with big bags of Ethereum. They're very good at pumping and dumping coins, and they are going to pump and dump your coins. It doesn't matter if I launch Bob coin and someone launches Alice coin and then you deploy it on Uniswap. There's going to be some big bag holder over there pumping and dumping those coins. It's like a casino. And guess what? So the casino, some people win, most people lose, some people kind of break even, but it's only a few people win, but the house always wins, right?
Yes.
And that's how Uniswap works. It's like a gigantic casino. So if Cards deploys a token, or let's say Bob deploys a token at $1, once Bob coin gets over onto Uniswap at $1, someone is going to pump and dump that coin on Uniswap, and then it'll be $10 and then $100. And then 3 months later, it's going to be $1 again. Okay. So someone made money and someone lost money, and that's how Uniswap works. I just wanted to warn you. It's almost like if I go to the red light district looking for a girlfriend and I go home with a hooker. Okay. Guess what? She's going to charge me $150 gas fee. Y'all know when you go over there on Uniswap, you're going to be paying $150 gas fees. All right. Don't go home with a hooker. All right. If only play on Uniswap if you know what you're doing, or if you're willing to take a little bit of hit. There's a learning curve there. There's a little bit of learning curve. I don't use it personally. I don't use it, right?
Yeah.
But just be alert to that, please. That's for the viewers. Please be 100%. Alert.
I'm actually really glad that you said that, because that's actually one of the things that makes a lot of sense with any sort of launchpad. If you're going to go through a decentralized exchange like Uniswap, you're going to have that risk. And that's certainly something that a lot of decentralized exchanges have an issue with, and a lot of launchpads have an issue with. And the best way to trust a launchpad is to be able to look at how they handled their launch. So one of the things we're fortunate enough is for Cards, we were able to put in the kind of anti-bot measures that can prevent these kind of whale games. And that's really something that we want to bring to every project that goes through us to protect that user. So we've been fortunate enough to have that kind of launch. We want to make sure that every project that goes through us has that kind of launch also. So we can't have these whales playing these casino games with our users. And that's exactly what we want to do. And we've done it, and we hope to keep doing it.
I mean, just to add on to that, we specifically designed our token metrics for distribution that is fair. Some people know this, some people don't. When we first opened the socials, I made a very explicit statement saying we are not going to accept any money from venture capitalists. We are just not. We've done that in the past with other projects, and you know what? Honestly, I don't believe that's how VCs are utilized. So we said none of that, only community members. This is the only people that were interested in getting involved on this. We don't want any big money and anybody just holding a majority of the tokens, right? That's how we get these, again, whale games. So we made that clear. There were still VCs that wanted to get involved somehow, right? And this is why we developed our accelerator partner program. So they actually had to pay to be in that position. And what they do is they get access to be able to support these projects that are going through the accelerator incubator, right? And what they have to provide is their network, their resources. And then the project that's going through gets access to all of that, and they get access to become early investors in that project. So in that sense, it's very synergistic. And I think that's the real utility of a venture capitalist company, like a firm. That's how it should be. It's not, hey, here's 5%, 10% of my tokens. I'm going to forget about it because I just made my raise. Now I can go to market, and then all of a sudden things are starting to unlock, and we're screwed.
Yeah.
We don't want that to happen. We've seen a lot of other projects that have done it this way, and you can see what happens.
Yeah, they'll dump a project can. Look, if I have 10 million tokens in the queue and I only released 1 million tokens out into the wild, I can wait for the price to go up and then dump my 10 million, poof, disappear.
Exactly.
And now I live in the Cayman Islands and never to be seen again.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So that's a preventive measure. There was a really good question from Kyle Solomon earlier, and he asked about, is there any projects building right now that you have that you've already vetted and that are building using CardStarter?
Yes. We are booked with projects all the way until July already, if you guys can believe it. We're at scale. We're looking at doing 2 per week. That's ideal. Which gives so what that means is if you're involved and you've got some cards tokens and you've achieved a tier, then you have 2 opportunities a week to get in on a new project. So we want to be able to have those options for you guys on our platform. The current projects, we could talk about. We have Charlie that's coming out in what is it now? 21st. 2 more days until registration opens. Really excited about that one. That is Cardano's first kind of decentralized Oracle solution. That's with the most interesting name, Charlie. And that project is actually going to be tied in with us because we really like it, and we're going to essentially have Charlie integrate into at least be the suggested integration partner for all the projects that are coming through us going over to Cardano, right? And there's always we've got all these other oracles out there, but none of them have talked about going over to Cardano yet. And if they do, that system is going to take some time as well. So Charlie's really first mover here. After that, we have one that we're very excited about, also called Giro Wallet. This one I can't say too much about yet because we've only just announced it. So I think you're gonna have to wait for the articles and stuff to come out. But this one's I'm really excited about. We've got the team is made up of guys from doing UI for NASA. Working for Amazon, Google, all kinds of really, really cool stuff there. So I think we can expect something awesome coming out of that. And we're going to, just to answer the rest of that question, we're going to be announcing all of these incubator projects that we have as well, right? We have some IDO stuff coming up as well, but the incubator projects, we'll put those announcements out. We're going to look at probably early next week is when we can start talking about the rest of them. We're also going to have a public calendar where you guys can see when the dates are for each one. Good. Now, obviously, we can't tell you what the projects are, so they may have a little wild card or something over top of it and reveal them as we get closer.
Okay. I'm assuming you have like a PR team or a legal team who looks at what can you put out when, is it ready to be publicized?
We have a phenomenal legal team. Yeah. And that's why it took us so much time before we became transparent, is because we wanted to make sure we had all of our ducks in a row. So we've got a great team over there. And in terms of PR, we've got awesome guys. We have a really internally, it's more than just me and Ash and a few other guys. It's we've got about, we're close to 20 people that are kind of really working on this project. So
nice.
Nonstop.
Yeah. And it's there's so much to talk about. So we'll have to do more podcasts, and there's a lot of great podcasters in the Cardano system. Shout out to Pay and Pratesh. If you guys get a chance to get on Pay's a podcast and Pratesh, they run a really good show. There's a lot of YouTubers in so as you have information coming out, and then you can always hop over here on Cardano Live as well. All right. I do. So we covered the incubated programs well as best we could without, you can't really say the names or what they're doing at this point, I guess. But let's go back to the users for a minute. I'm the token holder buy, sell, trade. I like to buy tokens. That's what I do, right? And you have different programs, such as you have stakeability, right? And then you also have tradability, but you have programs called deuces, aces, jacks, kings, and so on. How does that work? Or can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So essentially, every tier is like a subscription. So we wanted it to be as fair as possible and make sure it was as distributed as possible. The issue with that is that we actually had to restructure our tiers twice because, and this is kind of funny, the success of cards has actually become a little bit of a curse because as the price goes up, it becomes more and more expensive for entry-level admittance. So the solution that we have is to be incredibly adaptive. So we've already changed it twice before Charlie. Charlie's about to launch in 3 days. People still want it adjusted. And the folks that got in earlier that bought around $5, $10, they're saying, no, we can't adjust it now for the new folks. But what we can do is adjust it right after Charlie. After every single raise, every single IDO, we want to make sure that the barrier for entry is as low and equitable as possible without minimizing the amount of allocation. So we don't want folks getting a $10 allocation. That seems silly. So the Deuces tier is a lottery system right now. Eventually, that'll include what we'll call a wildcard system. So that should be a very, very low amount. I mean, we want it to be something where most people in the community can afford to get in, and it's really just there so you can feel like you're a part of the ecosystem and a part of Cardano and feeling like you're getting in on exciting projects early. And that's really the focus and the idea behind it. And as you go up, there's increasing pool weights that allow you to get a higher allocation, but we wanted to keep that linear. And the reason for that is, again, we don't want whale games. Some people say if you get into King's tier, Queen's tier, Aces, you should get an even higher allocation than the cards that you spent relative to folks in the lower space. We don't agree with that right now. And the reason for that is because then it only encourages people at the top to kind of start becoming whales. So we want to make sure that everyone understands that there should be a fair and even distribution. So we want to make sure we do a middle out expansion. So from the very middle, we want to expand down so that way more people can get in. And then folks at the top can have something to strive for in the future so they don't feel like they need to be selling or dumping coins on the folks that are at the bottom. This way, we can make sure that everyone feels included and everyone can participate. And we bear the brunt of taking in less ourselves for VCs, for seed investors as a team, so that way they can get a good, healthy allocation. That's really the goal. And it's, I have to say, it is really hard from a modeling perspective to keep every single person happy, because if you you adjust one thing, you're going to make someone else unhappy. But if you actually look at the entry fees, we're about 1/5, 1/6 the price of the other launch pads out there, and we want to be even cheaper. So right now, you have to pay 5 to 6 times more to get a guaranteed allocation for an equivalent launch pad in the space. We want to go even cheaper than that. So we're about 1/5, 1/6 the price, but we still think we can do better.
Okay.
And we just hope that they're patient with us.
Yeah, I can. So I can see why you would have to adjust your model. There was Murdamont in the chat said 500 cards is almost 20K, and it's funny because while you were describing it, I took a quick look. So, like the card price was $35 just a little, an hour ago. Now it's almost $37, and the coin ICO'd at 10 cents,
15 cents,
or
15 cents,
15 cents. And 500 cards would have been a pretty good price. Most people can afford
exactly
that, and that would be the Deuces. But then Kings is 9,000 cards, and the price is $35. So yeah, it's up there in Lambo
what we
territory.
Is adaptive and dynamic. It's exactly that. We've already changed them once, right? And this current model that you see right now is based off of a $4 token, I believe, or $3 or $4 token. So we're changing that right after Charlie. We can't change it on the people that are already involved in Charlie and want to get in, right? Because they've earned their spot, and that would be unfair. So we're changing it right after Charlie to expand on both the top side and the bottom side, I believe, to allow more people to come in on the bottom and allow more people to have a goal to kind of get to from the top side, because those guys are interested I'm getting a lot of messages about people being like, hey, can I split how many tokens I have because I have so many and do like multiples? And
Yeah, that's something we want to prevent too. Like if a king is saying, "Oh, well, I have enough tokens. Let me just get a bunch of deuces, and then I can increase my chances." That kind of hurts the folks that are actually deuces involved in the lottery. So we need to make sure they don't take advantage of the system that way either.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, this has been great so far. I do want to get to some of the comments, the chat from the viewers. It's great to get comments in. And one of my good friends, Kyle Solomon, and he is also one of my best and favorite critics as well.
Oh boy.
Kyle's an awesome guy.
Good.
You know, Kyle Solomon is an awesome dude. And he says, he goes, it's like using Cardano hype to launch ICOs on Ethereum. What do you guys what do you have to say? I mean, I see what he means. There are people who are launching.
Absolutely.
Cardano isn't ready yet. The private test net just started. The public test net starts in about 2 weeks. Public test net in about 2 weeks approximately. And then mainnet around August timeframe. Is this Cardano hype, or are you guys trying to?
No, here's what it is. Look, who's going to be building on Cardano? It's going to be people that understand how to build smart contracts. When Ethereum went live with their smart contracts, there wasn't much happening. It took a long time before people started to really see like what's possible. It's like, oh wow, we can do this, we can do this, you know. So it's not like Cardano is going to go and start from scratch again with these smart contracts, and everyone's like, how do I develop this? You know, it's ready, it's primed, and people are just going to jump over there and push it out. It's going to be DeFi is going to be the hottest thing on Cardano, right? Whether we like it or not, that's what smart contracts are for. It's a way to provide like an immutable system where finance can transfer between 2, 3, 5, 200 people in a way that can be measured. So.
I mean, this goes back to the original comment that first and foremost, we're just fans of Cardano. We just want to facilitate these developers and these folks that are early in the space to actually be able to build on there. I mean, I'm kind of curious, but outside of doing this, I'm not sure how that's feasible. Where are they going to get the funds? How are they going to raise? And that's another reason why, just in case there are any bad actors, we provide the insurance to be safe. If it was really for the hype, we would honestly just take a larger fee and just accept it and not use anything with it. We wouldn't really be necessarily needing to advocate or vet our projects. We could just accept everyone that comes through. We actually make our lives a lot easier. But ultimately, what we really want is... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I want to just bring up how else is this possible? How would they raise their funds? Because the obvious answer is Project Catalyst, right? So I just want to discuss the differences that are there, because I think Project Catalyst, we like Project Catalyst. But there are some issues with the model, just, intrinsic issues. Like if someone's going up there and wants to pitch their project, right? People could steal that idea just from seeing it. And we see that a lot in the decentralized world. People may take an idea and go and run with it. And then this person's out here, who's just honestly going to find some funding, get some support. And the same thing has been cloned and exists already with someone who has their own funds. It's not fair in our mind, right? Another thing is that we can actually get, using a Launchpad, you can actually get the people that are in the community have a stake in that, not just coming from a grant. A grant in addition to a Launchpad is exactly like what we would consider the perfect combination. But this provides an opportunity for the community to actually get involved, to actually own some of this project. Which really strengthens the community that's behind it. And when they go to market, it's there and it's existing. So I think that's another point as well that we want to kind of put out there, because we're very aware of PC and we support it. But those are the differences.
Okay, and I'm glad you have an answer for that. I mean, it's good for people to be critics. I want people in Cardano need to continue to use critical thinking skills and ask questions about the projects, and also apply some tact and diplomacy, which we are also very good at. And thank you, Kyle, for that fantastic question.
And especially around this time. Especially when these things are coming out and it's going to be this whole like decentralized world, it's dangerous, man. Like there's a lot of bad actors out there. I've been burned more times than I can count, even from people that I thought were friends and whatever, and they disappear. So it's really, you really have to kind of find, trustworthy people to kind of associate with. And and it still can happen. So
Yeah, and I have noticed the same on idea scale. Early on, I was very heavily involved within it. With it lately, I've been more of kind of like supporting people who are using it, right? So you can have a small player take a great idea, go on idea scale, and someone with more players and more resources can take that idea and actually implement it either on idea scale through Catalyst or through a Launchpad, right?
Yeah.
Through some other means.
Or with their own money. That happens a
or-
lot too. You'd be surprised
Yeah.
how many billionaires are out there.
Hey, that's a great idea. I'm going to go ahead and use that because it's sitting out there in the wide open. But I do have to give a shout out to Catalyst. It is the biggest DAO in the world, and Catalyst is doing a great job. And the people who are working on Catalyst are always welcome to come over to Cardano Live to discuss your project, right? So please, people on Catalyst, please do that. But there is also the trip hazards of what is the current success rate, number one, like how many people are applying versus how many people are actually getting funding.
Yeah.
And another thing is the human side of Project Catalyst, the human side and the idea scale side, that's kind of like beta phase software, but the actual voting side of it is still alpha state. Just my opinion. It's still in alpha state. So it is difficult to get winning votes on projects that should get winning votes, right?
Yeah.
Really, who wins the votes now? Well, whoever happens to figure out how to vote correctly, okay? Whatever projects they like are the ones that are going to win because they figured out how to vote. Everybody else who didn't figure out how to vote yet, well, you're out of luck. So what can people do? Well, they can go to projects like yours if they get through the vetting process, and they can still protect their intellectual property, which is also important. I worked in the realm of intellectual property and design and building stuff, right? And it's important to protect intellectual property as well.
And there are other launch pads out there too that are kind of directing themselves at Cardano. And, we're supportive of anybody who really wants to expand the Cardano space.
Anyone that wants to build on Cardano, we encourage that, even if it's not with us. We really want to make sure people get that message. We have a way of doing things. Other folks have a different way. We just want to make sure the community is happy.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, that's a great message to have, and it looks like you're executing on that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get, if there's any burning questions in chat, let me know. I'm going to check chat. We're going to wrap up here in just a few minutes. I'm going to check my list. I had other community questions that had come along. We'll have to do a speed round if there's a lot of burning questions. In order to time manage this lovely Wednesday afternoon, depending on where you're at. If you're in Pittsburgh, it might be kind of gray or snowy.
I'm telling you, it's snow.
It's snowing.
Snowing in Pittsburgh? This is almost springtime.
Oh my gosh.
Is that what it's like in Pittsburgh,
yeah.
Rick?
Yeah, it's weird. Pittsburgh weather's crazy. And his internet probably cut out because the snow is crushing the internet right now. The snow in Pittsburgh is crushing the internet. All right, let's see. The team anonymity. So the team is here. Okay. How does the insurance work? We covered that. Is there staking on the Cards platform? You touched on that. I think. Do you want to cover a bit on how do I stake with Cards?
Sure. Here's what it is. Just a real quick kind of a quick version. We have two kinds of staking. One of them is not yet available. It's just around the corner. This is really cool. I'm actually super excited about that one. That's LP staking. That's actually when you provide liquidity and you take those LP tokens and you stake those. And that gives you a different sort of incentive. And this will actually be the only way to get that incentive. So we're excited about that. News on that later. For now, how to stake your cards. Oftentimes, guys, in Ethereum and DeFi, staking means take your token, take Ethereum, put them together into the liquidity pool, right? You get a token that represents what you just did, and then you put those somewhere and lock them up. That's generally what staking means. That's not what it means here. For this, it just means take your Cards tokens and put them. That's it. You just put them into the protocol. And so the way that it works is this. You have a registration window, right? For Charlie, it's going to be on the 23rd. You take your Cards tokens, you hit stake. Well, you hit approve, and then you hit stake. Once they're in there, it'll say you're eligible for this tier or this tier. Good to go. You know what you're eligible for. Then on the 23rd, we have the window for registration. This is where you set your intent to take part in Charlie, right? Everyone has the choice. You don't have to take part in it. You can be staked up and you're like, no, I'm going to miss this one. I'll go for the next one or something like that. So that's where you have, you make your intent. And then that has a window so everyone can kind of get in if they want to. And then we go to the actual IDO process. At that point, that's when the transaction is made in the swap pool, and that's when they get their C3 tokens, which is Charlie's token, and that's when the funds from their end go to the whatever raise. So generally, right after the IDO is when it goes live on market. So that's kind of what timeline we're looking at. And here's where the staking comes into play. What does that mean? Well, the second the IDO is complete, you are locked in for 7 days. All right, that's an important note to remember. 7 days, and then you can unlock. Why we do that is because we've seen with other projects, oftentimes people will buy cards, let's say in this example, use them to get into Charlie, and then sell them immediately before the next guy does, right after. And we get this, we don't want that, guys. We're looking for some stability here. We're looking for utility for this token, you know. The reason I think, you know, I don't know if I'm allowed to comment on this, but I think the reason that we're seeing that kind of growth that we have been is because the utility of the card's token outweighs whatever, you know, the value is that someone's willing to pay for it. And I think that's what gives us this kind of a trend on the charts, right? And that's the most important thing for us, is to make cards useful, very useful for someone to have. And there's not that many of them, guys.
And this is all on the website. So literally, you have your wallet where you have your cards tokens. You go to the website, cardstarter.io, click on the app, and then you connect your wallet and you hit the approved stake button. That's it.
Okay. All right. Last two questions and we'll wrap it up because there's plenty more podcasts to do. Lots more questions will be coming from the audience. So,
sorry, that was supposed to be a speed round and I just took like the longest time to do that answer.
Oh, no, that's fine. I'm not trying to rush things along, but I just want to make sure the viewers, there's a lot of viewers who are at work right now and they'll probably watch later today. And if it's an hour long, they won't watch it. But if it's under an hour, then they might watch it. Right. But so last two questions and we'll wrap it up. And that is, one is, what is the bridge to Cardano? And do you have any Haskell and Plutus developers on the team right now? Let's start with, do you currently have any Haskell Plutus developers on the team?
We do. And then additionally, we're bringing on more. We're going through our second expansion phase right now. So we're constantly hiring just based at the rate in which we're scaling. So yeah, we do have Haskell devs. The plan is what we call the Great Migration. That's where we halt trading. We take all the liquidity off of Ethereum because, you know, Ethereum's great and all, but not for us. We're going to take everything out of there, move it all completely to Cardano, and resume trading. Everyone who has tokens of cards will be airdropped 1-to-1. We'll have a portal for that where you can go and switch out your tokens for the Cardano token. And, you know, quick and easy, clean. There'll be a long window of opportunity for everyone to know that this is going to happen in case they have their own liquidity in there, etc. And we'll be able to do a nice and seamless transfer. It shouldn't be difficult at all.
Okay, and that leads us to the last question that we're going to hit today, and that was, where's the bridge to Cardano? Are you going to have the transfer take place on exchanges, like from an ERC20 to a Cardano native asset, or is it going to be through DEXs and smart contracts? How's it going to work?
None of those. We're just going to completely switch protocols all in one and use our portal to be able to take the ERC20 token and switch it over. So it'll just be a very, very seamless process. Yeah. You know, I know that other protocols have done something like a bridge and hosted that on an exchange or whatever, but I think that may have to do with their intent of staying on Ethereum. So since we're doing this full on migration, you know, it really is the Great Migration. Everything is moving, you know, and we're excited for that. That's going to be a really, really interesting time.
We're not trying to keep 1 foot in Ethereum and then 1 in Cardano. It's full on. So we want to make sure everyone has that concept.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if I currently have 10 cards, ERC20 tokens, then say maybe 6 months from now, I'll be able to plug in your website, send in my 10 ERC20 tokens, and it will spit back, you know, 10 Cardano native asset tokens.
That's right. Okay. It'll be a 1-to-1 exchange.
I like easy. I go for easy. Yeah.
So do we, actually. So that's what we really aim to try to do, is because we've made some pretty complex projects. And what we're aiming to do here is to really have that user experience be nice, simple, smooth, and leave a good taste in your mouth, you know, because this isn't a one-shot deal. This is many projects that are going to be coming out of here. Of course, you know, to our community, to anybody who's listening that wants to get involved, please bear with us as we do make the adjustments and kind of figure out what you guys need and what works better. But we are always there. We're always on the ball. My team is just amazing. Like, you know, some of the best guys I've ever met, and they've been just unreal with how hard they work, how diligent they are. You know, shout out to those guys big time. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Aatash, for being here. Thank you, Ash. as well. I appreciate you guys coming on Cardano Live, and we're going to wrap it up for the day. Please hang on the line as I wrap it up here with the outro music. And
I like the music.
You like the music? All right.
Yeah.
And so and everyone who's still here, please hit like and subscribe down below. Hit the bell to get the notifications for when Cardano Live goes live. You get a notification on your apps, and check it out over on Twitch. If you're a Twitch fan and you like playing video games, then you don't have to leave Twitch. You can take a break from the video games, hop on over to Cardano Live. And we have also deployed on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Player FM, and soon we will be going to iHeart and Radio Public and as many platforms as we can possibly launch on. My audio tech is working on that, on getting Cardano Live on all the platforms. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here today, and I'll see you around Cardano. Thanks for building on Cardano.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Take care. Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.